I own some silver. I own some gold. I've been buying silver and gold for many years. I've never sold any. I give some away as gifts occasionally, but no. If I were buying one today, I would buy silver. Silver is still down 40% or so from its all-time high. Gold is making all-time highs. Who knows? I own both.
I have the pleasure of welcoming back a gentleman who has been on our channel a number of times and needs no introduction. Jim Rogers, welcome back to the channel.
I am delighted to be here. I'm happy to see you again. Let's
Uh,
do it many times, I hope.
Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to that. I'm going to jump straight in. You've lived outside of the US for a good number of years. With the benefit of that distance and perspective, what's your take on the US economically and politically right now?
Well, I will first say that you get more perspective on your own country if you go somewhere else for a while. It teaches you a lot about yourself and it teaches you a lot about your own country. So I hope everybody does it. Uh, I am sitting here a few thousand miles away, and I know that U.S. is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. And I know that the people in Washington, I sit and watch them and I'm stunned. They don't even seem to be aware of that. They don't seem to care. And they seem to be running up the debts more and more every day. Now, they say it doesn't matter. They say, don't worry. Well, I've been around long enough or read enough to know that one should worry. Maybe not this month, but this is going to cause a problem eventually. They keep printing money and spending money and borrowing more money and say, don't worry. Well, I will say to you, it's a good time to be an old American. It's not a good time to be a young American. I mean, I have young daughters. The problems they're going to face as American citizens in their lives will be huge. It's like the British, in 1924, Britain was the richest, most powerful country in the world. 50 years later, 1976, they were bankrupt. That's not a typo. IMF had to fly into Heathrow, London Airport and pay their bills. They went from the richest, most powerful to the bankrupt in 50 years. It's happened before, it can happen again.
Now, you've said that the next bear market is going to be the greatest bear market of your lifetime. And given what you've spoken about there, if to most people who don't have the benefit of your experience and knowledge, the US economy has been quite resilient. What specifically then are you looking at that others don't look at that gives you that pause for thought, that gives you that great concern? Is it just the fact that it's the largest debtor nation, or what's happening at the moment that really concerns you?
Okay, we had a big problem in 2008, as you remember, because of too much debt everywhere, including the US. Well, since 2009, the debt is skyrocketed everywhere. I mean, even China has a lot of debt now. China bailed us all out in 2008, but China has debt now. Everybody has debt now. So the next time it has to be bad. I mean, I'm trying to look out the window and say, don't worry. I can see the debt. It's staggering and it goes higher and higher and higher everywhere. And throughout history, big debts have often led to problems. And this is the highest debt in the history of the world. Washington says, don't worry, it won't be a problem. I, I hope so.
Are we starting to see cracks at the moment?
Well, I don't, I am not selling short. I have no shorts at the moment. I have not built up a short position. I have cut back on my longs in most places, but I am not selling short yet because I mean, I can see the signs developing of problems down the road, but I don't see the problems being strong enough yet But what do I know? Maybe I should watch your show to find out what to do.
What
Uh,
what
well,
would have to happen for you to reconsider that position and start to sell short?
I guess if it gets to be more hysteria in the markets, you're starting to see some hysteria. You're seeing new people come in. They're calling their friends and saying, "Oh, I found this wonderful new thing called the stock market. It's fun and you can make money and it's easy.
And you
It's
can't
easy to
lose.
make money." I'm starting to see some of these things that we have seen before, but it's not enough hysteria. But hey, I am very bad at market timing. That's why we need you. I don't know when. Somewhere along the line, I hope I'm smart enough to start selling short, and I hope I'm smart enough to get it right. But I don't know.
Yeah, most people watching this channel are very interested in the precious metals complex. We are seeing a bear market in precious metals. However, it's not necessarily a broad-based, a bull market in precious metals. It's not necessarily a broad-based bull market in precious metals at the moment. We're seeing an awful lot of buying, and the vast majority of the buying coming out of the East, India, and particularly China. Why do you believe that difference between the appetite for precious metals, East versus West, is existing now? So basically, why are we seeing such buying coming out of China now?
I own some silver. I own some gold. I've been buying silver and gold for many years. I've never sold any. I give some away as gifts occasionally, but no. If I were buying one today, I would buy silver. Silver is still down 40% or so from its all-time high. Gold is making all-time highs. Who knows? I own both. I'm not selling either, and I hope I'm smart enough to buy more given the right opportunity.
And what do you think, though, is the motivation behind the volumes of buying that we're seeing in the East? Why is China buying so much at this moment in time?
Fortunately, it's very easy for the Chinese to buy gold and silver. There's a gold shop everywhere you go, and you can buy more. The banks sell, or some of the banks sell gold and silver. It's very easy. I mean, the Chinese have been around a long time. They know that gold and silver is always a good thing to have in the closet at certain times. And I'm like an old Chinese peasant. I've got some too. All of us old Chinese peasants know when things go bad, you better own some gold and silver. And China, as you know, for a long time couldn't buy gold and silver, but now they can again. And the government is buying gold in a big way, from what I read, and the people are too.
And we're
And I am too.
And what we are seeing, though, is we're seeing very much that it is an East-led bull market where we're not seeing as anywhere near the same degree of participation by Western investors, and in particular, Western retail investors. What do you think would have to happen in order for Western investors and Western retail investors to start to see the value of gold and silver in the portfolio in the same way that they do in the East?
Well, historically, it's usually when things start going bad in the investment market, when the bear market comes, it catches attention for many people and they start looking for alternatives. And gold and silver historically have been one of those alternatives. That's the way I suspect it will work out. It's often worked that way in the past. I'm just an old peasant and I know I'm trying to get mine early.
So are you suggesting then that particularly if we hark back to what you were saying earlier, where you might be seeing some cracks in financial markets at the moment, but you wouldn't be selling short, that there's probably a tipping point that we will get to in financial markets, particularly in stock markets, where a bit of panic starts to set in, and that's when we'll start to see the participation by retail investors?
Well, that's often the way it has worked in the past, yes. There's nothing, when it's on the 6 o'clock news, a lot of people start to worry and realize, oh my gosh, what's going on? Let me do something. Right now, I suspect that whatever's on the 6 o'clock news says stock market's making all-time highs. Things are great. So most people right now aren't worried about anything. They have a job. Inflation's sort of under control. Stock markets are going up. Why worry? Why
Um,
worry, for goodness sake? What's wrong with you?
Seeding panic and fear. That's what people would think. But the reality is what you're saying is that what we're seeing on the mainstream media tends to be when it comes to financial markets, tends to be the hyped good news. The stock markets are going higher. Everything is rosy. That's the message coming from government. So no need to panic. That's basically what we're seeing at the moment. But if you dig beneath the surface there, and you try and consume your media from outside of the 6 o'clock news, you might find something different. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not in Dublin, so I don't know what they're saying on the 6 o'clock news in Dublin, but I do know in most of the world, the view is that everything is okay, nothing to worry about. And as you probably know, at least I know historically, when everybody thinks there's nothing to worry about, that's when you should start at least asking questions.
Indeed. In terms of countries that you'd be investing in right now, what would be your favorite, or do you have a favorite, or is it a case of pulling in your horns,
Well, I
taking?
guess today, July of 2024, would have to be China. Nearly every other country is making new highs or is near new highs. U.S. is making new highs. Japan, my goodness, Japan was down for 35 years. Now Japan is making new highs. Everybody's doing well. China is the only place. China got hit with the virus and a huge real estate bubble, which popped. So China's having some problems, and that's about the only place that I know that's not booming in the stock market.
Okay, so taking advantage of those countries that are kind of under favored at the moment.
Dave, I know your parents taught you to buy low and sell high. I know your parents didn't say buy high and hope it goes higher. That's not the way. That's not the way it should work.
Absolutely. Um, Finally, what are you doing now, based on everything that you said and the perspective that you have? What are you doing now with your finances that you think that viewers of this channel could take lesson from?
Well, everybody has to do their own thing and make their own mistakes. Uzbekistan is a market that is depressed, not depressed, but well, it's depressed historically. So that's a place that I am looking and have bought. I am looking at China to buy more shares in China. But hey, there are not many places. I mean, if you know something, please send me a private email. I'm looking. I'm looking for the new opportunities. I'd love to invest in North Korea, but there's no way. First of all, I'm an American, and second of all, there's no market. But no, this is just most markets have been and are doing very well. I own a lot of US dollars. Now, you may say why, because the US is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. But when there's a crisis or problem, people look for a safe haven. And for historic reasons, many people think the US dollar is a safe haven. It's not, but people think it is. So I own dollars, and my plan is when the turmoil comes, the dollar will go higher and I will sell. Now, you should ask me then, well, what are you going to do with the money then? And that is a brilliant question, and I don't have an answer right now. In theory, it would be the Chinese currency, which will begin to compete with the dollar, but not now. I mean, the Chinese currency is a blocked currency. You cannot buy and sell it like you can the euro or many things. So I don't know where I'll put my money then.
Okay. Um, I can't leave you without getting your opinion on the political situation in the US. We have had a number of developments over the last couple of weeks. We've had an assassination attempt. We have had the current president stepping down as the nominee for the next presidential election. What's your take on the US politically at this moment in time?
Well, I guess the good news is there's going to be an election. I hope. If we don't have an election in November, it's going to be, that's very bad news. Mark your calendar. If we don't have an election in November, it's very bad news. I have no idea which one of them will win. I read the polls like everybody else. I do know I will not vote for either of them. I will vote, but I will vote a protest vote because neither one of them is competent, if you ask me. But it doesn't matter about my vote. One of them is going to win. And then we will probably start having problems. We've had a very long bull market in the US without problems. An election often releases some tension, some pressures, and that will probably happen this year. And, you know, the US has had the longest bull market without a problem in history, the longest in history. So I would suspect by November or next year or sometime, some of this is going to start to unload and we're going to have a bear market again. I mean, we've had bear markets every few years since the beginning of time. Nobody likes bear markets. Well, some people do, but most people don't. So, but I would urge people to understand we've had many bear markets in history, and I hope we're going to have many, many more. I hope I live long enough to see many more. And it's going to be bad because the debt is so high. The debt is so high everywhere, and you should find ways to protect yourself, whether it's silver, whether it's selling short, whatever it is.
So do you see the election in November as being a catalyst or a tipping point or a focal point for what happens next?
Well, you asked about catalysts. There are some wars going on at the moment, and there may be more. I don't know. The U.S. keeps telling the world that China's going to do something in Taiwan. China says, no, we're not. We don't care. We just have to wait. But whatever happens, it's probably not going to be good news. There's been so much good news for so long.
So we've got massive debt, the largest debtor nation in history, the longest bull market. We've got geopolitical tensions. We've got hotspots. We've existing wars going on, and we've got an election year. So we've got a confluence of factors that is really going to give us something to focus on from financial markets for the foreseeable future.
Dave, it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? You, you just outlined a wonderful, wonderful next few months. I suspect that there are going to be problems again. But Dave, I know you know enough to know that we've had economic problems every few months since the beginning of time. And I hope we have many, many more in our lifetimes. I hope I live long enough to see a lot of them. And I hope more that I will be smart enough to survive. I'm sure I'll listen to you and you will tell me how to survive.
And we'll check back in with you again in a few months if that's okay, Jim. But for today, thanks for joining us on the channel.
It's been my pleasure. And I will hope the next time I see you, I will have bought more silver and more gold. And who knows what? Probably by then I will have sold something short and will be looking for more shorts because the next bear market in equity markets has to be very, very bad because this bull market has lasted so long and the debt has gotten so extraordinarily high. I'm not trying to be some kind of fear monger. I'm just trying to tell people look out the window and look at the facts. These are simple facts, and they're not good facts. Okay, Dave. I hope we both survive whatever comes. I hope we even prosper, whatever comes.
Indeed. Likewise, Jim. As ever, a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.